Welcome back to Crosspolitic. We're back, and we're back.
Yes.
And, man, I'm excited. Are you excited?
We got Dilbert on the phone.
Dilbert is on the phone.
Wait, is he in black and white or color?
We'll have to ask him.
Okay.
We got on the line right now Mr. Scott Adams. He is the creator of Dilbert, one of the most popular comic strips of all time. He's been a full-time cartoonist since 1995. As a technology worker for companies like Crocker National Bank and Pacific Bell.
Yeah.
His many bestsellers include The Dilbert Principle, Dogbert's Top Secret Management Handbook, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, and Win Bigly. I don't know if that's a word, guys.
It is now.
He is also co-founder. You can find all his stuff at dilbert.com. He's also the author of this brand new book, Loser Think, and the subtitle is How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. Scott, thanks for joining us on Crosspolitic.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. So
he's already laughing.
Yeah,
He's
right,
like, I don't know how to handle.
I think you made up the word loser think.
I did make that up. You just stick any two words together and you get a new word. But I think this one's stickier. I'm seeing people repeat it, so I think it's a keeper.
Okay.
Now, what do you mean by loser think?
So loser think is not about the person. It's about technique. And it's based on it's based on the observation that the more experience you have across different domains, the better you are at understanding your reality. So, for example, if you are only an artist, you might have less ability to understand your environment than if you are an artist plus an economist. Because an economist is going to know stuff artists don't, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's about filling in the gaps so that people can do more productive thinking.
So you're talking about basically the problems with over-specialization.
Well, it's not even over-specialization. It's about people who don't know that they don't know how to think.
Yeah.
So the big problem.
Even worse.
Yeah, even worse.
Yeah.
It's liberal arts is what this is.
Yeah. If you think about it, one of the things that I point out is that if you're an artist, it doesn't matter what kind of music, it could be a writer, it could be a visual artist, but in your world, everything matters because you're not going to put a note in a song that's the wrong note. You're not going to put a chapter in your book that doesn't make sense. So in their world, if there's anything that you see, it has to make sense to the whole story. Or an economist, you think exactly the opposite of that, which is, most stuff is just BS.
Mm-hmm.
Most stuff is a coincidence. Most of it is just my own confirmation bias. Only rarely do you see something that actually is telling you something meaningful, and it's hard for us to know which of those rare times it is. So your economist or your scientist or your business person, a lot of other fields, engineers are going to say, well, let's compare it to something that makes sense to compare it to. That's another thing that artists don't do. An artist will look at a situation and say, for example, that president's doing a good job, doing a bad job. Doesn't matter which president we're talking about. The scientist or the economist, if they're on their game, or when you ask them, is the president doing a good job? They should say, if they're on their game, compared to what?
Yeah.
Because there is nobody else who's doing that same job under the same conditions.
Yeah.
If there were, we could know if one is doing better than the other. But if you just have one person doing one thing that nobody else has done before, you can't really know, except in the extremes, of course. There'd be something that's so crazy you could tell. But within the normal job of presidenting, you really don't know if it's a mistake or a genius move. Most of
Is Trump doing a good job?
According to what? Dave?
Compared to what?
yeah.
I want to know what Scott thinks. Don't answer it like a scientist, Scott.
Yeah. So, like most people, there are things I would prefer he didn't do, but one of the things you can say is that he brings a different toolbox to the situation.
Yeah.
And it's been my take for a long time that you don't need exactly the same presidential personality for every situation.
That's right.
There's such a thing as a great wartime leader. Maybe that was Churchill, and maybe he would have been in some other situation. So I think every now and then you need somebody who's a total box-shaking game changer. He's going to change the rules, and the person who can break free the ossified situations. We were sort of stuck with North Korea. We were sort of it seemed like we were just sort of stuck with China's deals that we didn't like. And suddenly this personality comes in and says, I'm going to break every one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shake the box, and then we're going to see if the new variables, after I shake the box, give us something to work with or not. And sometimes you need that. I would argue that during Obama's, and this may be unpopular, but during Obama's administration, you could argue that maybe we needed a cool hand. When the economy was close to the edge, you just needed somebody who sounded like a professor who would say, everything's going to be all right. We'll just pump. we're folks, we're just going to take care of this. The government's got this under control. And that was my worst Obama impression.
Oh, that was Obama? Oh, I missed that one. Sorry, Scott. I just thought you changed your voice a little bit.
That also doubles for my little Kim and Chairman Xi. I use the same voice for everybody.
Now, Scott, I feel like one thing's there's a big thing that's missing from your analysis here. So to say that, hey, I think Trump might be a good person in our current times and a good president for that past presidency because of the economy, et cetera.
He's not thinking like an economist?
Maybe. Well, so we're Christians. And so we believe in absolute truth. And so when we analyze Trump or when we analyze Obama, when we analyze Bush, et cetera, we want to first establish a foundation of maybe how we're going to analyze all of them equally.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like having a standard.
Yeah.
Well, what does absolute truth mean? Give me a definition of that.
So I would believe absolute truth is in the. You want Scott to answer that first?
No, I was just going to say. How about things like like moral standards,
and that absolutely applies to everybody over the whole world.
So
murder's wrong.
Doesn't matter, if you're American or Iranian or Chinese, but
right.
Murder is wrong. People are made in the image of God, and so taking the image of God away without permission,
due process,
yeah, the trouble you get is that you like to have some hard, cold standard, and you can tell if something is in that standard or not. But as soon as you throw in a word like murder, and you say, well, does that include a war that you've got a good idea about? Does it include abortion? Being subjective, no matter what.
So Scott,
go ahead.
So Scott, do you believe
in the problem with that?
I guess after that question, I'm wondering, do you believe in absolute truth?
No, I believe that we're more likely a simulation than a real species.
Is that absolutely true?
That conversation, didn't it?
No, but I'm wondering though, if so, for instance, I think that it was far-fetched to jump into, well, what about war? Well, if we're going into war, it's not considered murder in the same way we're talking about murder. Murder would be something like, I don't like you because you have better clothes than I do, and I go into your house and I want to kill you. War would be different. That's category to me than just what we're talking about with murder. I think murder would be just that. Something. Yes. So I don't think that works.
But no, I agree on the easy cases, but on those there's no debate. Nobody's really arguing in favor of killing your neighbor because you don't like how he mowed his lawn.
Abortion.
But what happens is we extend that into other things, such as abortion, such as let's say killing Solomon A's, those sort of things, and you can get into some gray areas of subjectivity pretty quickly. That's just the downside of that.
What about but for example, we have all this stuff with the Middle East going on right now, but there are particular, at least versions of Islam that really are committed to the destruction of Christianity in the West, and so that's they really are arguing that we ought to die. The infidels need to die.
True.
So there's a wrong, or is that just a different perspective?
A different simulation.
Well, I would say that getting to right or wrong, at least in my worldview, is sort of doing too much work. Because you don't want to be killed. You know that the people that you like and care about, you don't want them to get killed either. The right or wrong part almost is like a little extra. It's extra that you didn't need. I mean, it's nice, But as long as everybody's on the same page, no, I don't want to get killed. I don't want anybody that I like getting killed. Then you've got all you need.
How you say as long as everybody's on the same page? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's nobody who's in favor of themselves getting killed for no reason. There's nobody who wants people they like to be killed. So you don't have to put the right or wrong or God's opinion or anybody else's opinion on it, because you can stop before that. I don't want to get killed. I don't want my family to get killed. That's the end of the story.
What do you mean in say how untrained brains are ruining America? What are the things? Where do you see untrained brains ruining America?
Well, I have noted that our political system has morphed from its original intention as a republic in which we would vote in some smart horse and gallop off to Washington and make us some smart laws, and then we check on it in 6 months to see how we liked it. But now we have instant communication and social media, and I would contend that our government, at least on the issues that social media knows about, not the top secret stuff, for the things the public says, are we going to war tomorrow, that sort of thing, that social media effectively tells our government what to do now, because they couldn't violate a big opinion. They can violate the minority opinion, but if the whole country, as it did, speaking as one, Democrats and Republicans rose up as one, whatever you do, we're not going to war. And I believe that anybody who thought it was the president's decision to go to war are missing the big change in our governing process. This president couldn't go to war. He didn't have the option because the public said unambiguously, left and right and in between, believe me, the Republicans would have taken this president out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
He would be done. He would be done if he put boots on the ground in Iran. There isn't, you would find 5 Republicans in the whole country who'd be willing to vote for that again. So he didn't really have a choice. And say untrained brains are ruining America, given that we've moved our big decision-making process from the elected people who were pretty smart. We've sort of moved it to social media to people who are, let's say, less smart.
Democracy by social media.
Certainly, they're less aware of the better thinking techniques. So let me tell you just one example.
Sure.
So when I introduced the idea that there's too much mind reading going on, which is the idea that you know what a stranger is thinking and that their stated reasons for doing something is a lie because they're real. In fact, Representative Collins just said this. The real intention is that they love terrorists. Now, that's just a dumb thing to say. That's just dumb. You should never say that in public. You don't. There's nobody in the country who, maybe one or two, who actually love the terrorists. It's not something Democrat. Good luck finding a Democrat who loves a terrorist. So to imagine that you're reading their minds and you would actually say that in public as if they had any credibility whatsoever is just loser think. And I recommend in the book, and I'm recommending now, that we viciously mock people who believe they can read other people's minds. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
You can't get to better thinking until you get rid of such common illusions as that.
How is writing comics like Dilbert contributing or helping with loser think?
One of the things that writing Dilbert is about uncovering the illusion we sort of walk through our daily life with. In that case, it's about the workplace. So mostly what I talk about is the absurdities, the people who are trying to do the right thing, but it ends up being a dumb thing instead. So sort of most of my life is simplifying and reframing the comedy. You can see the dumb parts. So I do the same thing in the book Loser Think. It's just a different field.
I like the one that's on your homepage right now. How's your project going? It was doing fine until a thick wave of stupidity swept over it and extinguished my spark of divinity. I don't know what will become of me. I'll transfer you to marketing. They're all like that.
I guess one of the questions I have, it seems like right now, at least when I was in Minneapolis, 10, 15 years ago, there came a wave of government funds that allowed pretty much anybody to go to college.
Yeah.
And in the last 15 years, we've had at least 2 classes that have been able to graduate from that I can think
From
of.
that funds, yeah.
it's only gotten worse in the last 15 years. Do you think colleges in one way or another, by the way that they're set up and the way they're organized, are helping with some of this loser think? Because it seems like at one point, college was about having a robust understanding, just like what you were talking about in the beginning of the show.
A liberal arts understanding.
Seeking truth is what
absolutely.
universities
were
were
able to think
about.
in just one, more than just one fact, piece of the puzzle together. But now we only think like artists in one way or another, right? Or how our feelings or emotions make us feel. You know, are colleges to blame for some of this?
Well, one of the problems is that the people who are the best communicators are people who went through college, because that's one of the things you learn. Filtering thing. People who are smart and good communicators end up in college more often than not. So I think you're seeing an imbalance of their messaging, meaning that they're really good at becoming writers and journalists. And if you're watching the news, you're mostly listening to writers and journalists. So I think their signal just gets more than, let's say, the thinking behind it would warrant. Here's what you don't see. Name a headline you saw today where there was somebody who was an engineer who's giving you their opinion. Good luck.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that.
Yeah.
There's no engineer who is also such a good communicator and is known to be, a good pundit in the world of politics who gives you their opinion. So you're seeing a bunch of English majors and artists and musicians who are also really good with the written word, good journalists. They're great at what they do, but they may have gigantic gaps in, let's say, their understanding of economics. How to think, basically.
It seems like one of the differences is that in one side of this, the artists and the communicators, I mean, you think a lot and then you spew words, you write books, you paint something, you whatever, whereas, and whether it works or not is based on feelings.
Yeah.
But a mathematician, an economist, is constantly getting a report card in the real world.
Right.
I mean, the real world is telling him every day whether his math worked, whether his bridge is actually going to hold people up, whether the space shuttle's actually going to make it to the moon.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the real world is, gravity, is the fact. Like, real world doesn't care about your feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a perfect lead into. I should tell your listeners that I have a degree in economics. I've got an MBA from a top business school. So one of the reasons that I talk about experience in different fields is that I am an artist, I am a writer, but I've got evidence. Now, one of the experience I had in my corporate world, where my job was to make these long, they seem long, but like 5-year financial predictions about our decisions. So we'd make decisions about some technology investment or whatever. And it was my job to say what that would look like financially. Predictions were about as accurate as, let's say, an inebriated monkey with a dartboard. Maybe he's blind, got a little Parkinson's going on.
Yeah.
So bullseye.
But if you've lived through my experience where you are all the qualifications. I had all the variables, and I couldn't do any accurate forecasting because it's not really a thing. There are just too many variables. The futures is opaque to everybody. And then you say to me, and here's Scott, here's the 80-year financial forecast for climate change.
Right.
What's my opinion? I mean, now I can tell you that privately, 100% of the people I talk to who have any kind of background like I do, which is working with financial long-range predictions, there isn't a single person who thinks that climate predictions are accurate.
Yeah.
Now, it could be worse. I mean, maybe it's even worse.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that a lot of decisions about something that is absurd by its nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you dig into climate change, we probably don't have time to do that. You find out that the economist looks at it completely different than the scientist, completely different than the artist. And my only gripe with climate change is that we don't have the economic. We might have the science right, but we don't have the economic part of it right.
Okay.
That's not something you can get right.
Did y'all see they're taking down the signs in Glacier National Park that said the glaciers are going to be gone by 2020?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I missed that. Okay. Loser Think by Scott Adams, How Untrained Brains Are. Ooh, there's so much, Scott, we could have talked about, but we'll let you go for that, and we'll maybe hook up with you at another time.
Yeah, don't be a loser.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. 3.
This was my book of the week.
Planet Narnia.
By the
Planet
way,
Narnia. That's
yeah,
where you get right
yeah.
there. Go get it.
Book of the week. See, we nailed it. Yes. And you thought we were going to leave out book of the week.